Hello everyone, welcome again. Today we are going to start the third lecture on electrostatics. In previous two lectures, we have done about what is charge and its basic properties. In basic properties of charge, we have done conservation of charge, where we have seen that charge is conserved in every process. Then we have done additive nature of charge. Then we have done invariant of charge. In invariant of charge, the magnitude of charge is not changing under any condition. And then we have done quantization of charge. According to quantization, we know that fractional charge does not exist. The minimum charge that exists is the charge on the electron. We have also discussed about the quarks. Quarks have fractional charge. The charge on the quarks cannot be taken as minimum charge because quark does not exist in the free state. So these are the topics that we have done in the last classes. Today we are going to start with the Coulomb's law. So start with Coulomb's law. We know that like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. Now the question is that what is the magnitude of attraction or repulsion between two point charges? The magnitude of attraction or repulsion is determined by Coulomb's. So we have Coulomb's law. So let's consider two charges Q1 and Q2 at point A and B and separated by distance R. Now the charge Q1 exerts certain force on Q2. Q2 also exerts certain force on Q1. According to Coulomb's law, the force of attraction or repulsion between two point charges is directly proportional to the product of the magnitude of the two charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Mathematically, if F is the force of attraction or repulsion, F directly proportional to the product of the magnitude of two charges, Q1 and Q2. F inversely proportional to 1 by R square. Combining these two equations, we have Q1, Q2 by R square. Now remove this proportionality constant, we are putting a constant here. Where K is a constant called proportionality constant. The value of K depends on first system of units, number two the medium in which the charges are kept. Here we have an important point. The electrostatic force acting between two charges depends upon the medium. But if we consider the gravitational force between two masses, then gravitational force does not depend on the medium. So that is one of the difference between electrostatic force and gravitational force. Now the value of K in SI system, writing here, in SI system, the value of K is 1 by 4 pi epsilon. This is a new symbol for you called epsilon, where the value of epsilon is 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12 Coulomb square per Newton per meter square. That is the value of epsilon naught. That is called electrical permittivity of free space. So epsilon naught is called electrical permittivity of free space, that is vacuum oblique air. Okay? If you put the value of epsilon if you put the value of pi and 4, the value of k comes out to be the value of 1 by 4 pi epsilon comes out to be, putting the value 4, 3.14 epsilon 8.85 minus 12. This value is nearly 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton meter square. So finally the Coulomb's law becomes F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 by R square. For numerical problems, 1 by 4 pi epsilon we can use 9 into 10 to the power 9 Q1 Q2 by R square. That is one of the formula. From this expression, we can also define what is 1 coulomb. Let's see. If Q1 is equal to Q2, say 1 coulomb. Take R is equal to 1 meter or unit meter. Then force can be written as 9 into 10 to the power 9. So from here we can define what is actually 1 coulomb. So 1 coulomb may be defined as 1 coulomb is that amount of charge which is acting between two similar charges placed at a distance of 1 meter, then it experiences a force of 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton. So again, coulomb is a very big unit of charge. So this expression of Coulomb's law gives only the magnitude. It does not give the direction. So for the direction we have to express the Coulomb's law in vector form. Coulomb's law in vector form is more informative because it gives magnitude as well as direction. So let's discuss the next topic, Coulomb's law in vector form. Coulomb's law in vector form. Let the charge Q1 exert certain force on Q2 and the direction of this force is force acting on 2 due to 1. And the direction of this force is from charge Q1 to Q2. For the direction, we generally consider unit vector. So here the unit vector is directed from 1 to 2. Okay? Similarly, the charge Q2 exerts certain force on Q1 and the direction of this force is from Q2 to Q1. So the meaning of F12 means force exerted on 1 due to charge 2. F21 means force acting on 2 due to charge 1. Both the charge are similar charges, so both the forces acting in the opposite direction. So Coulomb's law in vector form, force 1 2 can be written as 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2, distance is still r. And what is the direction of this force? The direction of this force is from charge 2 to 1, and for this the unit vector is 2 to 1. So here one can write down 2 to 1. So the force acting on 1, again I am repeating, the force acting on 1 due to 2 is directed from charge 2 to 1. Further 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 by R square. R21 can be written vector R21 by vector R1, because you know that a unit vector A can be written as vector A by modulus of vector A, that means vector A by magnitude of A. So the Coulomb's law in vector form further can be written as Q1 Q2, and this magnitude now vector R21 can be written as R, so becomes R cube R2. So that is our Coulomb's law in vector form. Similarly, force acting on 2 due to 1 can be written as 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 by R square. What is the direction of this force? The direction of this force is from charge 1 to 2. So the unit vector would be 1 to 2. Further, 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 by R square, and this unit vector I am writing directly here can be written vector R by modulus of R on 2, which is equal to actually R. So 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 by R cube by vector R12. So these two expressions represent Coulomb's law in vector form. Also look the unit vector which give the direction, and the direction of the force are opposite to each other. So R12 vector, unit vector, is directed from left to right, and vector unit vector R21 directed from right to left, equal and opposite. So therefore the force 2-1 can be written minus force 1. So what the conclusion we are getting? The magnitude of two forces are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction, and this equation represents that Coulomb's law also follow Newton's third law. Is Coulomb's law in terms of position factor. So take coordinates axis x, y, z. Now take a charge q1 at A, and the position vector of A, the position vector of charge q1 is r1. Take another charge q2 whose position vector is r2. The charge is at B. Now the charge q1 exerts a force on q2, and the direction of this force is given by this vector. So this is the force acting on 2 due to 1, and the direction of this force is from charge 1 to 2, and for the direction take unit vector 1 to 2. So the force acting on 2 due to 1 can be written as force acting on charge 2 due to 1 can be written as 1 by 4 pi epsilon q1 q2. What is the distance between the two charges? Let the distance between two charges is AB. So AB with vector sign AB square, and the direction of the force is R12. Now you know how to write the unit vector R12. So this can be written as 1 by 4 pi epsilon q1 q2, and the modulus of AB means this total distance from A to B. This can be written R12 square, and the unit vector can be written as given vector R12 by modulus of R12. So overall, now the expression becomes q1 q2 R12 का whole cube vector R12. Now consider the triangle OAB and apply the triangle law of vector addition. So in triangle OAB, applying the train law of vector addition, we have vector r1, vector r21, this is vector r21, vector r21 is equal to position vector r2. So therefore the value of r21 is 1 by the value of r21 is r2 minus r1. Here you take the vector 1 2, sorry, it is vector 1 2, vector 1 2. So vector 1 2 can be written as final position vector minus initial position vector. Now keeping the value of r21 in this expression 1, so therefore f21 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon q1 q2 r1 2 का whole cube, and this r12 can be written as r2 minus r1. Also the modulus of r12 vector can be written as modulus of r2 minus r1. So finally the expression becomes 1 by 4 pi epsilon q1 q2 r12 can be written as modulus of r2 minus modulus of r1 whole cube vector r2 minus. So this is the expression for force acting on 2 due to 1 in terms of position vector. In the same way, the force acting on this charge, force acting on 1 due to 2 can be expressed as force acting on 1 due to 2 can be expressed as 1 by 4 pi epsilon q1 q2. Here take the position vector r1 minus r2 whole cube r1 minus r2. So these two expressions express the force exerted on two charge in terms of position vector. Now next topic we are going to discuss dielectric constant or relative permittivity. So next topic, relative permittivity. Denoted by epsilon r or dielectric constant. In Coulomb's law, we have discussed that the value of proportionality constant depends upon the system of units and the medium in which the charges are kept. So dielectric constant is the property of the medium which determines the force between two charges placed in a particular medium. So take Coulomb's law. First take Coulomb's law in air. Coulomb's law in vacuum or air. F0 is 1 by 4 pi epsilon q1 q2 r square. Now take Coulomb's law in medium. Now take Coulomb's law in medium. It can be written as force in medium 1 by 4 pi epsilon. Here we will take only epsilon, not epsilon naught. For vacuum actually we are taking the 0. Here for the medium we write only 4 pi epsilon q1 q2 by r square. This is equation number 1. Equation number 2. Divide equation 1 by 2. So force in vacuum, force in medium can be written as, after cancelling the terms, epsilon by epsilon naught. And this ratio is called actually relative permittivity, denoted by R, or dielectric constant K. So from this expression, we can define what is dielectric constant or relative permittivity. Look here, the dielectric constant or relative permittivity can be defined as the ratio of electrical permittivity of the medium to the electrical permittivity of vacuum or free space. The electric constant can be also defined in terms of force. So how to define? The electric constant is the ratio of force between two charges placed in vacuum to the force between two charges placed in medium. Now the value of K exactly 1 for vacuum, and it is going K is equal to infinity for metals. So K is equal to 1 for vacuum, K is equal to infinity for metals. The value of K also nearly equal to 1 for air. Value of K 3 to 4 for glass, right? The value of K 6 to 7 for rubber. Actually, near the value of K for rubber is nearly 6.7, but we can take 6 to 7. The value of K you can also remember for 7 to 10 for mica sheet, and for water it is 80 or 81. So these are the some values of some medium. Now again look this expression. From this expression, one can write down epsilon is equal to epsilon naught epsilon r, or epsilon can be written as epsilon naught into K. Now look why we are writing Coulomb's law in this form. So for any medium, Coulomb's law in any medium, how to write Coulomb's law in any medium? 1 by 4 pi epsilon, not epsilon, only epsilon, q1 q2 by r square. And what is the value of epsilon from here? Epsilon naught epsilon r. So 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught epsilon r q1 q2 by r square. Now assume that if our medium is air, then what is the value of this? Can be also written like this, no problem. 1 by 4 pi epsilon 1 by k q1 q2 by r square, because relative permittivity or dielectric constant is the same thing. Now if you take Coulomb's law in vacuum, take Coulomb's law in vacuum, or say air, no problem. What is the value of K for vacuum or air? It is nearly 1. So here the value of K becomes 1. So Coulomb's law in vacuum, 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 by R square. And generally this vacuum we are generally express F naught. And that's why so far we have written Coulomb's law in this format. From this expression, we have an important result, that how the force between two charges in a medium changes. Look this expression, this whole expression represents Coulomb's law in air. So force in medium can be written as F naught by K. Now this is also a very important result, and questions are asked on this formula, which indicate that how the force between two charges depends on the medium. If you take the two charges in water, then say how the force will change. What is the value of K for water? It is 80. So in water, the force between two charges becomes 1 by 80 times of the force between two charges in vacuum. Suppose that you are given two charges Q1 and Q2. If a brass material is kept between these two charges, then how the force will change? Can you give the answer? What are you expecting the result? If we put a brass material between these two charges, a medium, then what is the force between these two charges? What is brass? Brass is a material, metal. What is the value of metal? What is the value of K for the metal? We have just written infinitive. So force in medium, we know F naught by K. What is the value of K for brass? It is infinitive. So the force becomes 0. Okay. So far we have discussed Coulomb's law. Let's revise. So today you got the first expression, Coulomb's law. Now we'll solve some problem on this formula. So 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 by R square. We got this formula. Now we have to use this formula for the numerical. After that, we express the Coulomb's law in vector form. So in vector form, we have written depending upon the force. If it is the force acting on 1 due to 2, then the direction of force is from 2 to 1. Then we have expressed the Coulomb's law in terms of position vector. In terms of position vector, we have written 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 vector R2 minus R1 final minus means here vector R2 minus R1 Q. Then we got a result from dielectric constant force in medium F naught by T. So these are the formula for today. Now solve some questions on Coulomb's law. We have a question 1.1 NCERT 1.1. The first question in the NCERT 1.1, which is directly based on the Coulomb's formula 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 by R square. So you just do that question in NCERT 1.1. Question number 1.2 also based on a simple Coulomb's formula. So you try to solve this question NCERT question on 1.2 and also try to solve question number 1.1. All are based on the Coulomb's law. Here I am giving you another question on Coulomb's law. So let's do that question. The question is that two fixed charges, 4Q and Q, are separated by a certain distance R. Okay, the question is that 2 point charges having magnitude 4Q and Q are separated by a certain distance R. Where we put a third charge of magnitude Q so that the charge Q is in equilibrium. So the question is clear to you. We have given two charges 4Q and Q which are separated by distance R. Now we are bringing a third charge Q at C. Now we have to find where we have to put the charge Q so that the charge Q is in equilibrium. What is the meaning of equilibrium? The meaning of equilibrium is that the net force acting on charge Q due to 4Q and Q is 0. or either say the magnitude of the force due to this charge and due to this charge is same but the direction is opposite. So we apply the equilibrium condition on small q, that is the direction of force exerted by 4q on q is this is force, this is the direction of force acting on a small q due to 4q charge. What is the direction of the force exerted on small q by capital Q? The direction of this force is here, left hand side. So if the magnitude of Fa and Fb are equal, then the charge small q is in equilibrium. So what is the Coulomb's formula? And also assume that the charge small q placed at a distance x from 4q. Then this distance should be r minus x. So you write the Coulomb's law. How to write force here? Apply Coulomb's law. One can write down 1 by 4 pi epsilon. What is the charge? One charge 4q. Another charge a small q. What is the distance? The distance is x. Now find the force on B. What is the magnitude of this force? So again one can write down 1 by 4 pi epsilon q. And what is the distance between these two charges? R minus x. Okay, got it? Now the charge is in equilibrium. The magnitude of force A and force B should be equal. So now you do this formula. Force A is equal to force B. Applying this condition, we have 1 by 4 pi epsilon 4q into q by x square. Okay? This side you write down 1 by 4 pi epsilon q r minus x. Try to solve it. So cancel out 1 by 4 pi epsilon, 1 by 4 pi epsilon, both sides cancel out. Capital Q, small q, both sides cancel out. We have only left hand side now 4 by x square and this side 1 by r minus x. How to solve this one? This can be simplified as 2 by x 1 by r minus x. Now the simple expression 2r minus 2x is equal to x overall 2r is equal to 3x. So what is the value of x? The value of x is 2 by 3r. So the third charge must be placed at a distance of 2 by 3r from this charge. Got it? If the magnitude of charge, say here q and q are equal, then where are you expecting the charge? If q and q are equal, we are expecting that the charge q must be at the midpoint of A and B. Now do the same question. I am changing a little bit. So the question is, next question is that on the same formula, second question. So this is the first question. If you have problem, I can write on the question on the board. The question is that, we have noted down this one? Okay. So again we have two charge. Of magnitude plus q and plus q. Separated by distance r. Placed at point A and B. Okay, the condition is that we have two charges of magnitude plus q and plus q separated by distance r. Now here in this question we have to find what should be the magnitude of a third charge q, what should be the magnitude of third charge small q so that the entire system is in equilibrium. Question clear or not? We have two charges plus q plus q. Place that distance r. Now in this question we have to find the magnitude of a small q such that the entire charge or entire system is in equilibrium. What is the meaning of equilibrium? Once again I am explaining. Equilibrium means the net force experienced by each charge is zero. So what are the forces acting on this charge? First thing, if you are taking this q as positive charge, what will happen? The charge will not be in equilibrium. This charge exert for this side, this charge exert for this side. So the charge will not be in equilibrium condition. So first thing is that the q must be negative, right? So the q must be. So net force acting on q, the net force acting on q, net force acting on q must be zero. But again, if you are applying the equilibrium condition only on q, I think that we are not able to solve this question. Because when we are applying the equilibrium condition for q, you solve it and find what is the problem coming in this expression. Both sides q will cancel out each other. I will not find any term for small q. So apply the equilibrium for this one. So let's apply the equilibrium condition for this charge. So this distance is, and charge, the magnitude of charge is same. So this distance also r by 2. This distance also r by 2. So let's apply the net force on charge A. So 1 by 4 pi epsilon force exerted by small q on q. What is the distance? That is of r by 2. Plus the force exerted by this charge on this charge 1 by 4 pi epsilon q. What is the distance now? R square must be 0 because for the equilibrium condition the net force acting on charge q must be 0. Now solving this one, we are getting 1 by 4 pi epsilon q r square 4 minus 1 by 4 pi epsilon q square by r square. Now cancel 1 by 4 pi epsilon, cancel 1 by 4 pi epsilon, cancel 1q, you are getting 4q by r square q by r square. With me. Also cancel this one. So 4q is equal to minus. So what is the value of q? Minus q by 4. Already get the charge q is negative. So equilibrium doesn't means you always apply the equilibrium condition for the charge is present in the middle. You can also apply the equilibrium to this charge. You can also apply the equilibrium for this charge. You can solve this type of question by taking here once again 4q and find the different condition. We have one more question. Third question. By pausing down, you note down this solution. Now the question is that third question, how can you divide a charge capital Q into two parts so that the force acting between them is maximum. So you have to divide a charge capital Q into two parts in such a way the force acting between them is maximum. So if the charge is Q, divide this charge Q, then another charge will be Q minus Q. Got it? So one of the charge is Q, then another charge will be Q minus Q. So how to write Coulomb's law? So the Coulomb's law 1 by 4 pi epsilon. One charge is Q, another charge is Q minus Q, and let the distance between them is R. So divide the charge Q, one charge is Q, another charge is Q minus Q, and then we have write down the Coulomb's law. Here we have to find the force is maximum. In class 11 we have done the condition of maxima and minima. So on that basis we can write here dF by dQ is 0. Got it? So d by dq, what is the value of F? 1 by 4 pi epsilon is constant, take outside. R square constant, take outside. And the rest of the term is Q, Q minus Q must be equal to 0. Now the constant term coming this side becomes 0. So we have d by dq Q minus Q square is equal to 0. Now differentiating this one, this can be written d by dq, one can write down Q, no problem, d by dq, I am separating the two equations, Q square is equal to 0. So Q is constant and the differentiation of dq by dq is 1, so only we have left Q, and here use the formula x to the power n, you are getting 2Q. So Q is equal to 2Q, right? So what is the value of Q? Q by 2. So the two charges must be divided by equal amount so that the force between them is maximum. So that is the third question. So students, solve some more questions on Coulomb's law. Next class we will discuss the superposition principle where we have more than two charges. Worksheet is already given to you. Try to solve the worksheet. So today I am completing my class. Thank you and have a nice day.